This is Sports Idiot Nation. Beware the Ides of March. They have brought us fights in a Starbucks. They brought us the beginning of baseball and some NFL shakeup.
I miss the good old days where I could go into a Starbucks, get my iced mocha, froco, cocoa, 5 shots of espresso, frou-frou drink right into my journal and enjoy elevator music with a little peace.
This is Sports Idiot Nation.
Sports, comedy, pop culture, and everything in between. By idiots, for idiots. Welcome, sinners. This is Sports Idiot Nation.
Welcome into Sports Idiot Nation. Today is Monday, March 3rd. No TI today. He was coaching his son late last night. He couldn't wake up with us. But I do have Miles, who remains behind enemy lines in Tejas. So we really got a lot to get into. Sports Idiot Nation is, of course, the weekly recap show that highlights the last week. We come to you twice a week, every Monday and Thursday. Follow us wherever you get your social medias. Check the link as well, always, for your swag. All right, so Miles, lots to get into, like I mentioned. Let's start here because we gotta, on TI's behalf, I don't understand wrestling as much anymore, but I will say it was definitely crazy the way Cena just flipped the script, if you will. I don't, you and I both are on the same page here of we're like, okay, we understand how crazy it is, but we're not in full awareness, but TI would want us to at least talk through it a little bit. When did you first see what was happening?
I have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
So, and this is on par. So, by the way, it is another plea to always follow, of course, Sports Idiot Nation wherever you get your social media, because we have posted about it. So basically, John Cena, for the last 17 years, has been the good old boy, basically, and the one that you always cheer for. And he literally became a heel, a la Hulk Hogan when he became Hollywood Hogan and the NWO. Right. You kind of know about that from back in the day, where he was the bad guy, right?
Sure.
And John Cena is now the bad guy. He made the main beloved guy, Cody Rhodes. I mean, that was not fake blood. It was real blood. I mean, he bloodied him and hugged him first, and then as they're hugging, turn around and just, he took off his watch and was like brass knuckles. And I know the fakeness of it, but the blood was real, and he was like, his face was just covered in blood. I mean, and all with The Rock just standing right by him. Like, it was just kind of funny. And I get that's part of the script, but they really did flip the script, because for 17 years, that was not in the script ever, you know?
I really want to see like a little bit that they do, and maybe Netflix can even pull this off. But like have like those little like the little cloud coming out of their head, and someone doing a voiceover of what they're actually thinking about while this whole thing is going on. It's like, do they? Well, for one, they obviously know that everything's scripted, but I love how the fans in there like get shocked, and it's like, do they know that this isn't real? But for one time, as you describe it, it's like, do they know this is real?
I think if they had a little, like you said, a cloud right here with Cody Rhodes, I think he was thinking, I hope the blood is gushing the way that it's feeling so that I can really sell this.
Right.
You know, right. Because
yeah,
it was crazy.
So in your mind, how big of an impact has it been that, you know, the wrestling world, and shout out to Wrestling Idiot Nation, has gone on to Netflix? And from all accounts, of course, I don't watch Monday Night Raw. I can appreciate it, and I appreciate that those do. I have many friends that are even my age that are big into it and treat it like it is absolutely real, because, well, you know, our other sports leagues like the NFL are scripted anyway. So, what kind of impact in your mind has going to Netflix had on Monday Night Raw and really just wrestling in general?
Yeah, I think it sparked, like, because the stuff that went down with Vince McMahon was just kind of a downer for the sport. Like, everyone was like, and they have resurrected it, I think.
Sure.
And this is one of the storylines. I would bet that in the next 2 months, there is another bombshell type of a thing that happens that they do in order to boost, and I bet that they had the conversation with John Cena. And, well, first they couldn't find him because you can't see him. So once they found him, though, I think it was probably a tough choice because of John Cena understanding how wrestling works and that people are going to turn on him now, and he's a beloved character. And to go through that and to give your all for the sport, I can appreciate that a little bit. Whatever. I don't
I
get
would
into it. I don't,
I would think it wouldn't be too terribly hard because John Cena did alienate more than half the fan base with the whole controversy over the whole China Taiwan thing, and a lot of people that are just diehards, and many are wrestling fans, were pissed by Cena and haven't forgave him because that's just the way society is. So I think it really isn't that hard to conceive him as the bad guy, and a lot of people were really waiting for it. Would be my estimation, again, not being into wrestling at all, again, because I still didn't see any of that and didn't even care to. But the fact that he created that controversy, God, that's probably been 2-3 years ago. People were probably chomping at the bit, and that was probably more or less a layup for the wrestling world to do that.
yeah. So we'll see what happens, but they're still dealing with the fallout from that. It is a little bit of craziness. All right, so let's shift to some more craziness because um, both of the teams that I was really watching last year, if you remember, we had in the NFL our pick to click, if you will, a la Hawk Harrelson. Shout out to the Chicago White Sox because they need to be shouted out for something. Besides winning a baseball game.
Shut it out or shot at. Yeah.
Or shut it down. But shout out to Hawk Harrelson. Growing up watching White Sox games just because it was on TV and they went their picks to click. And so we decided to do that for the NFL season last year. You had the Vikings, T.I. had the Bucks, and I had your Washington Commanders. So Debo, hailing from my favorite team, the 49ers, over the weekend got traded. Now, here's what I was trying to explain to my mom. This is good. This is mom terms. So you ready? You ready for the breakdown? You tell me how I did.
I will.
Because your mom is very similar to my mom in the way that we would probably explain this.
Enjoys football, but doesn't take it the way we do.
And doesn't quite understand the numbers of it all, the draft status, like when you trade for someone, for a player to be drafted later, which is what the situation is. We all know it's been well documented. It was one of the only stories, that and Matthew Stafford, which we'll get into. But so with Debo, it's a 5th round pick. We all know that. But I was trying to explain this. And so, we're getting excited for the draft as Niner fans and stuff. And so I said, look, the draft, basically you can look at it as like every round there's 30 players. So the first round is 30, second round would be up to 60, third round is 90, 120, 150. So a 5th rounder means that you're getting a top 150. However, he was drafted in the top 60, I believe. So you're trading a top 60 player for a top 150 player. And here's what's interesting. My mom goes, well, that makes sense because he's not as good anymore as a top 60. I'm like, oh my gosh, you understand football. That is what we are saying. That is what the 49ers are saying, is that, look, if he knows the ball isn't coming to him, he's lackadaisical, he doesn't finish the route, which we can show a la Johnny Dell, who has been on this very program, and he can show you where Debo does not finish out routes, and it's a detriment. And he blocks when he decides he wants to block, and he doesn't block when he decides he doesn't want to. It's been documented on how many times he's dropped the football, either a fumble or it was in his hands as a reception and he just dropped it. A key touchdown that he would have had late in the season that would have really helped us. So these things you look at and you're like, all right, but I joked with T.I. just a couple weeks ago and he like, oh, dude, I'd take him still with the Titans. Are you kidding? He's a bowling ball. He scores a touchdown almost every time he touches the ball, or it's possible that he could. So it's like, all right, there's some value there, but still in my heart of hearts, I am disappointed that it's only for a 5th round pick when there's defensive players on that team that I would love to have a stab at, and find out. I know the salary cap, although the salary cap got boosted an NFL record amount. So it's like, oh, Niners, I don't know. So for you, I'll ask, as an outsider, not following the Commanders or the Niners, what do you think about the deal?
Yeah, it depends on what side I'm looking at it from. If I'm looking at it from the West Coast side, yeah, I really am heartbroken, and not necessarily that he's gone, because you knew for months this was going to happen. But let's rewind the clock. Let's say it's 2 seasons ago, and you say, hey, 24 months from now, Debo Samuel will no longer be a San Francisco 49er. You would be crushed. You would have a mental breakdown. You probably couldn't even understand it, and brain starts oozing out of your nose because of the talent he has, and that's clear. And so from a Washington standpoint, they're not thinking of it the way you are of the liabilities and the fact that he can be a bit of a head case at time. They've seen his potential. They know what he can deliver. As T.I. said, he has the potential to score a touchdown anytime he touches the ball, or at least
Literally,
possesses
which
the ball.
is crazy.
So from a Washington standpoint, they're now thinking, oh, we just got our final piece to make it to the Super Bowl now. We're one step away, and they don't want to hear anything you're talking about with, well, that was a San Francisco issue. He just don't want to be there. He was quitting on his routes because he was quitting on a team that quit on him, and yada, yada. Yeah, exactly. And that's the way you have to spin it if you're the ones getting him and you were well ahead of schedule with a rookie quarterback. You're about 4 touchdowns behind, but you're still 1 game away from the Super Bowl. They've got to be creaming themselves right now, thinking they just got their final weapon for their potentially future Hall of Fame quarterback. They in their mind, they have no excuse now. They're going to the Super Bowl this year, or this coming season.
Yeah, if you're Washington for a 5th round pick, you're like, okay.
If you really want a 5th round pick, you can go get one on draft night. Like you can shuffle things around if you really want a 5th round draft pick on the 3rd day of the draft. They don't care. They think they're going to get a 1st round quality Debo for this.
Yeah, no, that's if you're Washington, I would feel like you have to be ecstatic. So, a story about the receiving corps now at Washington is I was in Indy for work. This guy has to be like about 3 years ago at least. And I'm at the sports book in Indy and I'm walking down the street and I see a guy with a Terry McLaurin jersey. And back then he was barely Scary Terry. He was like a little bit frightened. He wasn't Scary Terry. He was like a little bit frightened Terry. And I'm walking down the street and I see this guy and I'm like, are you a Washington fan? And he's like, no, man, this is my nephew. I was like, wait, for real? He's like, yeah, man, Terry McLaurin went to high school right down here. And I was like,
played against
really?
Bishop Joyner in a state championship game. Absolutely, at Cathedral.
And he started telling me all about him. I'm like, oh, that's your nephew? Yeah, that's my brother's kid, man. So I got to support him. I'm like, yes, you do, man. That's cool. And so then I kind of followed his career since then. And all it's been is up and up and up. I'm like, Scary Terry. Yeah. I mean, I'm terrified.
Yeah.
So
no, they didn't lose Samuel, but now they got Samuels. So they think they got their duo, and they're a good football team. I mean, there's no question that Jane Daniels is that dude, and they should only be getting better.
Yeah.
with that and Debo. But again, that's coming from that outside perspective. I don't really have that attachment to him as you do. So I don't look at him through the prism of, man, this guy caused us a lot of heartache. He was a pain in the ass for at least the second half of this season, for sure. I'm sure more,
Yeah.
but got coming from the viewpoint of someone that just had to play against him or watch his team play. Yeah, Washington got what they absolutely wanted, thinking they have that last piece now.
Yeah. I'm interested to see maybe what receiver we can get in the 5th round then. I mean, the combine is full of studs this year. I was on my 49er podcast with Johnny Dell. Again, shout out to our episode with Johnny Dell. Really good episode, thousands and thousands of views on that one. And we were talking about the combine, that we're so excited because you know those reels on Instagram where you're scrolling through, or TikToks, and it's these interviews on the street, and the guy's talking to the girl and she says something provocative, and then it cuts away to a guy and he's like, man, this guy don't miss. Well, this is the draft. Like, every guy that we get will be like, man, we didn't miss, because there's so many. I don't want to say sure things, but you got to admit that this draft, with NFL ready football players at in the trenches, especially O-line and D-line, it is filled with dudes. I mean, we will have an episode coming up later where we'll really break down the combine, because I know you're so into that, and it'd be really fun to go over with TI and whoever else that we get, whatever guests that we can bring in. But we definitely have to do a NFL draft pre-show where we just get into all of these names, and they showed up and showed out for sure in the combine. And there's one player in particular that I know you would like to bring up for sure.
Well, I think one young gentleman that you and I both know personally from Fort Wayne, Indiana, Mr. Bam Scott. He was in with South Carolina for the last couple of seasons. Popped off at a 4.6 340, not once but twice. Man's consistent. So it's really cool to see a young student athlete that we coached in a different sport get to the point
Right.
where not only did he play major college football in the SEC, and it wasn't like he was just on the roster. The guy was obviously out there enough that he got an invite to the combine. And he showed out. He had, I think, the 11th fastest 40 time for a linebacker. I think most high school running backs wish they could just run a 4.6 340, let alone a linebacker. And so sometimes, he was down in a 3-point stance a lot of times. So you could say, hey, he could translate. If he fills out his frame, he could translate to a defensive end. So just really impressive. Just really happy for the kid. Never in my wildest dreams, and I'm sure not in yours either, going on 10 years ago now as a scrawny high school basketball player, did I imagine, this kid will be at the NFL Combine someday. But man, good for him. Obviously, he earned it, and hopefully he ends up making an NFL roster one of these days. Doubt he'll get drafted, but I'm sure someone will pick him up as a undrafted free agent. And then, man, it's all on him then. If he make a 53-man roster or even a practice squad, it'd be an awesome story.
Totally awesome, and couldn't agree more. Here are a couple pictures that I'm going to put on the screen to show our proof. So here they are. And so Miles and I coached Bam in middle school, and then we were his freshman basketball coaches. And here's the thing that I want to explain a little bit that was just that's so funny to think about. So Lane Middle School is right next door to Snyder High School, and we coached over there. And what happened was, that school is where Rod Woodson went and where Jesse Bates went. So a good football high school, right? And so we're coaching
On Dunbar, yeah, on and on.
Yeah. So Lane Middle School is right across the street. And I remember this like it was like literally 2 weeks ago. We told the kids, they were in 6th grade, and you technically were the head coach for that 6th grade team, technically, and me and Mike were the varsity coaches. I was his assistant coach, and I remember this. We promised the boys that if they ran Carolina the outlet play to move the ball up the court, and if they got a layup, that like we would buy them a 2-liter of soda. And so they executed it like 10 times that game. It's like they were like, "Oh, we get a soda? Like, okay, we'll do it." In practice, they wouldn't do it, and in all other games, they didn't want to do it. They wanted to do their own thing. But there's something on the line. Like, it's just hilarious. Like,
we are an incentive-driven species, and that proves it. Even from the age of 12, soda.
Yeah. So, and then jump to high school, and honestly, and look, Bam, we love you. We always love you. But your freshman year in high school, basketball-wise, you didn't work as hard as what you needed to. And he was kind of a bench player. But I remember in practice one time, he's like, "Coach, I need to play more. Man, I'm like the Michael Jordan of this team, really." And his teammates were just like laughing, like, "Yeah, Bam, yeah, whatever." And then we put him in a game one time, and he had like 4 points in a minute and a steal. And he was like, "Let's go," like getting the crowd going, and just always a character. Truly love that dude. Like, man, I hope the 49ers get it. I mean, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I hope he makes it. Just so fun.
Yeah. And for Bam, Martin Scott to go from there. And I mean, that's one of those things you always you hear those stories every once in a while. It's like the kid was even overlooked in high school and then makes her way. It's like there's nothing more that says it's about that individual's development when people doubted them than a situation like that. Because, like you just said, neither of us thought, I mean, certainly not basketball. I didn't know him as much in the football side, but even like with his stature, like the fact that he ended up not only playing SEC football, like, man, this dude is that close now to make an NFL roster. So, again, Bam Martin Scott, we're proud of you, dude. Keep rocking. And, whether you end up in Tennessee or San Francisco, hopefully not Dallas, down the street from me. That'll ruin your career. But you figure out somewhere else, man, we'll be cheering for you. You make a 53-man roster, I might have to fill up part of my empty space wall over here with that.
Right. Yeah, we already had a Fort Wayne guy go to Dallas, Jalen Smith. So we're over that. We want Bam to go somewhere else.
Get out of there quick.
Super stoked. Let's shift gears to Matthew Stafford, because that's really the only story that moves the needle as far as I think it might be the first domino for the quarterback situation, right? Because now that he's staying there, and look, here's the way I think that it went down. Matthew Stafford truly enjoys being a Los Angeles Ram. The Los Angeles Rams truly enjoy having QB1. They weaned him. They truly love having QB1 be Matthew Stafford. There's a lot of love there. Now, it's a business. And so they simply said, "Matthew, we do think that you're good enough to play at least 2 to 3 more years. We do think you're good enough to make X amount of money. Here's what we're saying, though, Matthew. We're not going to pay it. We're not. We're not saying you're not worth it. We're not saying we don't want you. We are saying in order to field an NFL team, we cannot pay you X." And Matthew had to, in his head, say, "I'm worth this money. Do I want to be maybe ahead of Brett Favre, ahead of Aaron Rodgers? Think of all the quarterbacks that only have one Super Bowl. Like, there's a chance, and I'm trying to be non-biased here, as I hate the Rams, but there's a chance. Like, they were a couple plays away from being in the Super Bowl, and then you got to give them a chance if it wasn't Kansas City's year. So it's like, does he want to make $30 million extra dollars, or does he really want to cement a legacy? And I get money, But come on, dude. If you have a chance yourself, you just moved for your company. If you have a chance to make, I know it's not 50 million. Let's get it down to a respectable figure for your life. Let's call it 10 grand. You have a chance to make 10 grand more, or to be a highly touted and respected person at your company. I don't know, man. If they set you up nicely in that position and you're able to do the things you want to do, wouldn't you say to hell with $10,000?
Well, in reality, I just took 10 grand extra to move to Texas, so I'm sorry that doesn't really connect
Well,
with me.
yeah, the cost of
No,
living and
for
things, I get it. But
no, but for Matthew Stafford, he's a smart guy. Obviously, he's well matured. I think he realizes, obviously, one, championship matters more. And sure, a lot of these guys, it's easy to say, oh, he had more money anyway, more than they can ever spend in their life anyhow. But I think what he does realize is if he does go out and win that Super Bowl, he's going to figure out a way to make that 30 mil extra. And I'm not saying through an NFL contract, but with the endorsements and the things he'll do after he retires, whether that's going into movies or TV or broadcasting or whatever it might be, winning a Super Bowl can actually be of far more value than just be handed that mega contract. And I think he's got a small enough ego to see, hey, this will pay off later, because he does have the confidence in himself. Sure, the ego's there. But he'd rather do it in a manner that sets him up to win potentially a second championship than 30 mil. He's like, no, I can figure out a way to make that elsewhere if I win another championship.
exactly. That's where I think it just makes sense. And as a Niner fan, I'm disappointed because
I bet you are.
so I
But
wanted
it's
him to go to the
interesting,
Raiders.
too, the fact that he didn't go to the Raiders, didn't go to the Titans. He knew, well, if I go anywhere else, I'm not there. It's done. Like I'm taking the money, kind of a sellout. I mean, he don't care about
Yeah,
that, but
the
he is
Giants.
more worried about, let me win a championship. Let me force someone else like a Aaron Rodgers to settle for a Vegas or a Tennessee or a New York, where, yeah, they're going to be the balls there. They're going to make a lot of money in a market that is known for fame. All three markets I just mentioned before are known for their entertainment in one way or another. But now you're forcing the hand of Aaron Rodgers or someone else to go there. Okay, now that's one less team he has to worry about, because if you're going to have a star-studded name or a star-studded quarterback go to a team that has no shot, okay, I just removed one other team from the table to ease his path to getting back to a Super Bowl. You know, this year they made it to the divisional round. They were the second best team in the NFC, in my mind. This year, we'll see what Washington does. We'll see what Minnesota does. We'll see, obviously, what Detroit does. And we know Philly will be there. But, yeah, with Matthew Stafford, because that cap space now, if they have that willingness to go out to get those pieces around him and protect him, yeah, they'll be right into it.
So I want to piggyback on something you said. What Minnesota does, that leads me to some more quarterback talk. What does Sam Darnold do? What does Aaron Rodgers do? Here's a funny domino effect. So now Aaron Rodgers is truly not wanted in the Jets organization. And what are his options? A real option is the Raiders with what Tom Brady's doing, but then what do they do with Devontae Adams? Like, that would be hilarious. It's hilarious for two reasons. One, the Raiders, I would think, are ruined for Rodgers, because isn't that when you date the girlfriend and then you tell, oh, don't go back to her? Devontae had to have told Aaron some horror stories about the Raiders. Now, it is a different organization as far as who's involved with the franchise now, but still, dude, like, it's still the same hallways. It's still some of the same BS. You would think it's still the same girl you dated, right? So it's like, right. Did he ruin it for Aaron Rodgers? If not, and Aaron's like, okay, they got Tom Brady going. It's different. Then does he go there? And if so, how does that look for Devontae? Like, because now they've been chasing each other, and then wait, you went back? You went there? Like, that's hilarious. The other option is the New York Giants, the Tennessee Titans. If you're Aaron Rodgers, you kind of look at that like, and no offense to the Tennessee Titans, to the fan
Oh
base,
no,
to
you
TI, but good
can
Lord.
offend all of us because we
But
earned that.
good Lord. If those are my options, the New York Giants, the Tennessee Titans, or the Raiders, I don't know if
I'd rather be in an abyss, which he likes to do for 3 or 4 days at a time. He might as well just stay there.
that is the abyss. The New York Giants, the Raiders, and the Titans. That's the abyss.
But I think it's okay for him to go to any of them because all he cares about nowadays is just being the center of attention in my mind. And in those three markets, you can be the center of attention. New York's a huge market. Vegas, iffy. Nashville's not, but they're all entertainment cities. So he can always see himself, whether it's Nashville, Vegas, or New York, as the big name of that city. And it be a market that pushes him to be at the headlines consistently. I think that's all he cares about at this point. Yeah, he still wants to play. That's fine. He still wants to make a couple extra $1,000,000, but as long as he gets attention, he acts like he doesn't want the attention. He wants the attention. He knows he's not going to win anywhere he goes now. He's done, but he just wants to play and stay relevant for an extra year. So I think either of those cities are perfect for him.
So I was looking at something because the other thing that he may want is a few more records. And so I looked this up, and currently Aaron Rodgers has 62,952 passing yards and 503 touchdown passes. Now, he only needs 2,409 more yards to surpass Dan Marino, and he's 36 touchdown passes away from take a guess. Take a guess who he's 36 touchdowns away from. Who did he
So Tom
succeed?
Brady doesn't have the record. Oh, Brett Favre. Yeah.
You don't think that Aaron Rodgers wants to I mean, come on, dude. You don't think he know you think I'm the only person that knows this?
No, he thinks that, but he's far more likely to throw 36 more interceptions than he is touchdown passes, especially with one of the organizations he's going to. Yes, he thinks he can do it. He's not going to. He's not going to have a 3,000-yard season and a 35-plus touchdown season. No.
A 2-year deal.
He ain't lasting more than one more year, man. He ain't lasting more than one more year. I'm telling you, he ain't gonna do it.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. What NFL team, and it could be outside of the abyss of the three that I mentioned, what NFL team is the more likely where he really could play 2 years? Because then he has a chance to get those records.
Vegas, because they don't give a damn anyways. And I don't think Tom Brady is really in that big of a rush to be seen as this mega minority owner anyways.
And there isn't a huge quarterback coming. Who's the huge quarterback that
Tennessee
you want?
pulls it, and Vegas, they'd be willing to sit their quarterback. Whereas Tennessee, no, they're pushing too hard. New York is New York. They're going to screw it up anyways, but they are still desperate enough for a big-time quarterback. It's Las Vegas. They don't give a damn what the Raiders do. They really don't. I mean, the expectations there is different than a city that Tennessee has at least had a team for 2.5 decades now. And sure, they always find a way to choke come playoff time. Get it. In the last couple of years, they've just choked, period, even this last year with expectations.
They are.
But they actually have fans that have expectations. Vegas, nah, man, no.
Well, I'm telling you, that
Giant
could be...
fans, Adriana wouldn't take it, and most fans are like her. They won't stand for that. Vegas, yes, they will.
I'm very interested to see how these dominoes go. Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are likely not to remain together in Pittsburgh, and there's talk about the NFC. Man,
I can't believe I can't believe I'm at a point where if a player like Justin Fields ended up in Tennessee, I'd be okay with it. He is not as horrible as most of us thought he was. It was really just Chicago.
You do have to coach him up. You definitely have to coach up a guy like Justin Fields and keep him away from himself. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And run plays that are designed to do what he does. Roll out, 1 read, 2 read, get the ball out. If it's not there, throw it. If there's some running room for 7 yards, get out of bounds and take it. If the offense can do something like that, he cannot be a Brock Purdy decision maker. Boom, this guy, oh, there's the 5th read. Like, that's not gonna work. So, and I think again, I'm not the only person that knows that. I think someone inside the Tennessee organization knows that. And if they got him, that could be a thing. But yeah,
Still better
we'll
than
see
Will
where
Levis.
the dominoes go. It's very early for sure. Let's shift to baseball because I'm annoyed some more. So let's go through it.
Shohei's showing out.
Yeah, dude. Like, really? Your first at bat, you can't chill for a while? Like,
The games don't matter, bro.
Okay, you're the Dodgers. So first of all, I hate you.
No, I don't want to be the Dodgers. No thanks. I'll pass.
Do you even worry about Shohei pitching? Do you even mess with it?
Well, for the first thing I would have done, as soon as he hit that home run, as soon as his foot hit the plate, I would have pulled him off and said, "You're not playing again till opening day." So you got all right. You warmed up. You're good for a month. I would
go play some bets.
I would only throw him in relief. With that rotation they have, I would still leave him as an option, but I wouldn't put him in the 5-man rotation. He's still available because, I mean, hell, he's playing every day anyways. Why not offer him up in relief from time to time?
Not the closer.
No. Oh, yeah. No, absolutely not the closer. I'm saying in relief. So I think the fact that he's still available for them if they absolutely need him, which we probably don't even need to, but keep him in your back pocket. No reason to have him as a closer. No reason to have him as in the 5-day starting lineup for your 5-man rotation. Just be like, okay, we got the team we have. Oh, and then by the way, if needs be, I got Shohei able to pitch too. That team's ridiculous. But that's my mindset towards it is don't even think about him as a pitcher, but if you really need him, you know he's there.
You know, the reason why that is actually smart and what's crazy is that I think I saw a stat. I think it was Sports with Balls, our buddy Jeff. I think there was a stat that said 10 years ago, 10, not 37, 10 years ago, there was like 240 complete games in the majors, and last year it was like 18 or something ridiculous, where it was like a complete game happens every blue moon, just not very often. Yeah. Whereas in the old days, more than 37 years ago, it was just every game. Even if you got hammered, well, you got hammered. Like you played the whole game, you pitched, you know. And now
we can't drain our bullpen.
And now it's like that makes a lot of sense because these guys aren't throwing 9 innings anyway. And so Shohei could still get a lot of innings. And you could simply say, if he pitched on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, all right, he's not going to pitch Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Well, no matter what the situation is, he's just going to be a bullpen guy, and we just simply won't use him if he already pitched, you know, whatever it is. Like, he could be on a pitch count like Little League, to be honest. Over 69 pitches, you're out, or whatever.
I'm 12.
So, I hate to say that, but, man, they could do that and be freaking amazing, which is so just annoying. And at least I know I share this feeling with literally everyone because now they have become the evil empire, that I'm not the only, as a Giants fan, I'm not the only Dodger hater. Like, we're in this together.
You and everyone else. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that. But I'm excited for baseball. I am hearing some good reports from, I can't believe I'm saying this, from Justin Verlander in the Giants organization. I mean, that's just weird. We haven't talked about it, but Justin Verlander is a San Francisco Giant. And I cannot wrap my head around that. And I don't think he's going to be Cy Young. I don't think he's going to be Neil Young. I don't think he's going to be Steve Young. I don't think it's going to be anything. But okay, it is Justin Verlander, and he can teach a lot. And
is he still married to Kate Upton?
I think they are still together, and even if they're not, he can teach those boys how to pull.
So either way you cut it up, life's still good. Be Justin Verlander.
Right. So, okay, I am interested to see how he does. We have some prospects coming up that no one's ever heard of. Only Giants fans know. I'm not going to bore our Sports Idiot Nation crowd with, our roster. It's nothing to, whatever. And we're in a really tough division. Now, we can't talk about that division because it is stellar. And for some reason, the Diamondbacks just refuse to go away. So the Padres and Dodgers, we already know. The Diamondbacks, and I think this is the year that we may move. The Rockies will play in like some Canadian fall league. I think they'll just ship them out because we can't count on them being.
Oh, they're going to lose like 115 games this year. I was actually at a department store a couple days ago here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I saw a Colorado Rockies hat. I'm like, are they just kind of like giving these away out of the Denver area to like anywhere else in the country and think just
Did it say world champs?
That purple's cute. Oh no. It's just a black hat with a C and R on it, and it was like going for like $2.99. It was ridiculous. Like they can't get this to sell anywhere in the western half of the United States.
Yeah, and that was pesos.
It's bad to be a Rocky. Damn near. $2.99 peso. No Rocky hat. No.
Nada. Yeah, bad news. They are the bad news bears of baseball. I run into actually, you. I don't know if you actually met him, but our buddy Clint, who coaches basketball in St. Louis, he has his assistant. I don't know if you ever met him actually before. He has been with him for a while. Big Colorado Rocky fan, and he tells me I see him when he comes to Fort Wayne for these basketball tournaments, he likes to wag his finger at me. Oh, don't count out the Rockies. They have this guy, that guy, this guy, and I'm like, who? Like every year, no, man. We got this guy. He plays hard, man. That's how you know your team sucks.
Like 10 years ago, bro.
When you talk about a team, your favorite team, you're like, hey, he plays hard.
Larry Walker, Todd Helton.
No, those guys ain't coming
the
through.
Ghost.
No,
the Ghost.
You have
some of
those guys that played on
anymore.
those teams. Their sons are playing. Conte Bichette and
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He doesn't play for the Rockies, man. You can't just say their name and they magically play for your team. That's not how that works.
Right. Which, by the way, have you seen that clip of Jim Thome's son?
No, I haven't.
Dude, he hit the ball like 557 feet or something.
That tracks.
Which tracks.
That tracks.
I mean, Jim Thome's like country strong, right? Crazy.
That dude could have batted right-handed. He was still hitting like 450-foot dingers.
Yeah, dude. Pretty crazy. So, yeah, baseball, we're definitely excited. And,
Mayday! Cover your brains, boys and girls. Put on your tinfoil hats because this is Idiot of the Week.
All right, you idiots and sinners. Grab your cup of Joe, much like Adam over here, because it's going down in Starbucks. So Jordan Scholes of Fox Sports, we know they have class acts all over the place at that organization, decided to report that Matt Stafford was being courted by one Tom Brady up in the mountains to come play for the formerly Oakland Raiders. How'd that work out for you? He's staying with the Rams. But then Ian Rappaport, a well-esteemed columnist for NFL, said, no, it's just a coincidence. They both have a house there. They are old-time quarterbacks, played against each other many, many times over. They were hanging out. Nothing to it. Well, Schultz decided to take it personal and ran into him at the Starbucks in Indianapolis and approached him and said, "We need to talk." And Ian Rappaport's like, "Bro, no, we don't. I barely know you." And then Schultz decides to blow up, starts calling him an MFer right in the middle of a damn Starbucks, acting like a child. And Ian Rappaport, like the professional he is, shuts him down, walks away. And at the end of the day, Rappaport, once again, is in the right. Jordan Schultz, you the idiot of the week.
Yeah, dude. The thing for me was when you make that much money and you go to those type of country club type places, that is a thing. That they have these places that are decked out 12 months a year, that you are treated like a king any month that you go, whether it's cold, warm, whatever. I mean, we think of if you live in somewhere cold, you might go to a country club in Texas or Arizona or whatever, right? They have these places that are set up where in the winter, you're still treated like a king. There's the ski resorts, there's this. And then when it's nice out, there's golf and this. And so you have these guys like a Matthew Stafford, like a Tom Brady, like actors, who are just hanging out. And it was more set up like that, especially now we truly know what was happening because obviously he stayed in LA.
In like a week. That was like a week ago, all that went down. So I think he knew what he was doing. He was trying to make a name for himself because other than the absolute diehards, no one knows who Jordan Schultz is anyways. And you're trying to be on the level of Ian Rappaport and trying to challenge him. He's like, bro, I don't know you. You're not on my level. I'm not even going to give you the time of day or entertain your Bravo Sierra. So he just walked away. And of course, Ian Rappaport still has his credentials and his, everything that's to him still intact. Whereas Jordan Schultz, it's like, well, yet another one from Fox Sports acting a damn fool.
Right. Yeah, I love who are you? I was just watching with my cousin Mike, who a couple weeks ago. We watched Civil War just to watch it, and Ant-Man they're all in their cells at the end, and all the guys are talking smack to Tony Stark, like, "Oh, Stark, you let us down. You have us here locked up." And Ant-Man says something like, "Yeah, man, you're the worst," or whatever, in a Paul Rudd funny way. And Robert Downey, "Who are you?" Like that's just the epic line. And Ant-Man's like,
right.
"Come on, man."
I know it, you know it, we all know it.
Yeah. Be sure to follow Sports Idiot Nation wherever you get your social media. A reminder, a new episode comes to you every Monday and Thursday. So with that, I am Adam Reno, of course, Smiles Behind Enemy Lines. We will see you Thursday. Okay, all you sinners, follow Sports Idiot Nation on TikTok, X, and Instagram. Like us on Facebook, and remember, the most fun way to watch us is on YouTube every Monday and Thursday. Be sure to hit the notification bell so you can be updated when new content drops. Remember, the podcast can also be found on the usual suspects of Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Always remember, don't be an idiot.
Sinner.